Okay, now the fun part is putting the seat on this bike. This kind of completes the whole package here, the looks-wise anyway. So anyway, what we want to do is grab the seat pan, and then the first thing we'll do is we'll install the springs on the pan. Get yourself an Allen wrench that fits the screw, the button head screws that are in these holes. Okay, what I do is I take the spring and I slide that Allen wrench up through the spring like that. Then I just rock the screw into the hole like that and set it on the Allen wrench. Okay, then lower it down into the spring like that. Slide the washer on and stick it back up through there. And then the washer's down inside the spring and it's ready to install into the seat pan. Okay, you've got these springs on the seat pan. Just snug them up, but allow them to rotate a little bit because we're going to rotate those to fit the motorcycle in a minute. And then go ahead and install this bracket on the front of your seat like that. And you'll notice on the bottom, there's that curved piece at the bottom. That goes like that. So go ahead and install that and snug that up. You'll notice mine isn't painted, so. Okay, now we'll go ahead and put this on the motorcycle. Okay, our first step to mounting the seat pan to the motorcycle frame is to grab these little brackets, which are left and right, and that slides right down in behind this big nut behind the shock here. So make sure that just barely slides in there, and go ahead and put those on both sides, and then we'll continue on. Okay, if you purchased our license plate taillight bracket, go ahead and screw that onto the part just like that. Use a little Loctite and leave those screws just a little bit loose. That's the bracket that matches the other side underneath it. And then go ahead and just shove that in there. This one's a little snug, but that's good. Then leave these just a little bit loose for now. Okay, this is really an important step on getting your seat pan mounted straight. It's really important that you follow the sequence of events here. So, first of all, what you want to do is put these screws in. And just snug those down, just to where there's just a little bit of movement. And then what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and center this bracket up here on the gas tank. And then while we push on this seat pan, everything will be a little loose now. So push forward on this seat pan and down, and go ahead and push forward, and then go ahead and snug these big bolts here up. This one and this one. Just go ahead and snug those up while you're pushing forward. Make sure that this doesn't move up front here. Go ahead and snug those up a little bit. Then come back and tighten these again. This time you can snug them up good. And then go ahead and push on that and snug these up really tight again. Okay, then after you get all that finished, make sure, one thing too, make sure this back section's kind of centered too, because it moves back and forth. And you want this centered, and everything to be tight, and still not have too much movement up and down there. You know, if need be, if things don't come out right, you can always bend that little tab that hangs down. You can always bend that just a little bit, either way, to make it hook into that under the frame there, where it hooks to keep it from moving. So anyway, go ahead and do that. Make sure everything's centered, and then we'll continue on here. Okay, the object is, after you get everything snugged up, and check these bolts on your shocks to make sure those are tight. But anyway, make sure all this stuff's snug. Now the object is that when you take these two screws out, your seat pan should just lift off. Go right back on there. There's some little notches right here if you had to slide it back just a little bit. So anyway, that's the idea, because you want to be able to pop that seat off to check your battery and stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and snug up our springs now. I've experimented with this, and I've found that if the little squiggly, this funny little squiggly is to the right, then it seems like it puts the spring back a little bit, and then the seat actually feels a little bit better. The further back the seat goes, the lower the front is, and the further forward it is, the higher it is. So there's a little bit of adjustment on this, so bear with me on this, and we'll get this seat set just right. I'll pan in on that so you can see that. Here's that funny little squiggly there, and it's just to the right side of the bike, on your right side when you're sitting on it. Go ahead and snug these up. They can turn just a little bit, but just snug them up. Okay, this seems to be about the right location for my bike. This front slot, the screw is about centered on this slot here. Now this is adjustable back and forth, and of course this is unpainted, but the further you move this back and forth, the more it'll change the position of your seat. So I'm going to mount this and show you how it should look and feel. Okay, I've mounted my seat and it feels really good. It's just a perfect position here. So, okay, I'll zoom in on this. You can see how we put the button head screw through here, and then the washer is on the back side with a nut. Now all this you can do with the seat off. Remember, you can take this pan off and do it on a bench, so it might be a lot easier for you to do that. And then I leave this a little bit loose until I tighten the frontal up, and then I just snug that up. You can snug these up. It doesn't have to swivel on this screw. Okay, now we'll go to the front. Now this is really important. Go ahead and snug these up and then back them off just a little bit, because that has to be able to rotate and move in there. Because as this seat moves up and down and around, it has to be able to swivel and move as you get out on and off the seat. So snug them up and then back it off just a little bit. And then I actually put a little bit of oil in there too on both sides, just so it won't ever seize up or anything there. And then one other thing, kind of important. Okay, your seat hopefully will be positioned to where that screw underneath, the screw right here, kind of is in between those a little bit. If it's right over the top of one of those, it might hit. I don't know. You have to try and see, but you may just want to kind of check that. And then go ahead and snug everything up, and gosh, that should feel really good on there. So I think we're finished with this seat. Boy, this thing looks cool, and it feels really good. There you have it.